If you're a caregiver who feels like you're barely holding it together, stay with us. By the end of this conversation, you'll be able to detect the early signs of caregiver instability and the steps that you need to bring it all together.
Welcome to Grace to Care. Take a breath, pull up a chair, little laugh, little truth to share with Grace to Care. Together for the ones who hold it all through the late calls.
Welcome to Grace to Care. I'm Fern Sapp.
And I'm Jessica Banner, and we're here having conversations on the grief, grit, and gift of caregiving.
Reminding you that in caregiving, you're never meant to walk it alone because we are Grace to Care. Wow, Jessica, I'm super excited about today.
Too.
We've got, if y'all don't see.
First professional guest.
We've got someone with us.
Yes, and I'm gonna introduce our guest. She's a good friend of mine. Ours. We've done a panel together before, so I'm super excited to have you. But today we are honored to welcome Miss Pamela Bridgman Bartell. Pamela is a trusted voice in emotional wellness and caregiver stability, bringing both clinical expertise and deep compassion to the work of supporting those who carry so much for others. She has spent years helping individuals and families navigate stress, trauma, and life transitions with practical tools that restore steadiness and clarity. Pamela understands that caregivers are often the strong ones in the room, and she is passionate about making sure they have support too. Pamela, we are so grateful to have you here. And before we dive into our topic, I want to help our audience get to know you a little bit, because there's more to your resume there. I didn't even remotely hit the high points of it. So what is your expertise, both really professionally and personally, that has shaped passion for caring for people, and especially today for caregivers?
You know, I usually start out with what my professional credentials are, but I want to talk today about how I really develop a passion for caregivers. I cared for my mother at the end of her life. She was diagnosed with both Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. And to see this woman who was the pillar of the community, this woman who everybody went to Mrs. Bridgman for everything. She was a spiritual leader. She taught school for 35 years. And then to see her decline. It was sad, yet it was also an honor and a privilege to be the one to care for her as she finally transitioned. Just a funny story, though. So yes. I was living in Chicago, and I got a call from my siblings and my son, and they said, "You need to move back to Georgia. You're the clinical social worker." Now, mind you, one of them is a registered nurse. The other is a clinical pastoral counselor. But God knew.
Yes.
But God knew.
Yeah.
Wow. And then for the professional credentials, I am a licensed clinical social worker. I also hold credentials as a certified master addictions counselor, as a certified clinical trauma professional.
Wow.
I'm an ordained minister, and this is always important to me, but I'm also a United States Air Force veteran.
Yes, ma'am, and we thank you for your service.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You know, one of the things that we've talked about here on the podcast, and we're going to talk about today, is we've talked about functioning but unraveling. And we know what it looks like. Clinically speaking, though, does depletion really look like someone who's still high performing, right? On the outside, what does that really look like? Let's talk about that some.
And it is. You actually put the precise label that I would put on it. You see them, and they are high functioning. I remember even someone saying to me, "You have such joy." And at the time, there was such distress because there was so much trying to get this done and get that done, making sure she didn't fall, making, you know, and yet, unraveling on the inside. But here's why that happens. The caregiver has been praised for, oh, look at you. You're doing so much. We're so proud of you. And not only do you want to care for this person you're caring for, you don't want to let those people down who think you're doing such an awesome job. And so you, quote, hold it together. The danger in that is that it not only eventually kind of explodes like Mount Vesuvius, right? And so that emotional explosion, but it can also cause problems with your physical health. Right? Because as you're holding the emotions in, then you get ulcers and all kinds of physical things. So it's really dangerous. And then the final thing I'll say about that is it affects the spiritual part of you as well. Remember, we are mind, body, and spirit. And those things are not separate. Those parts of us are not separate.
Wow.
And so when you're not taking care of any one of them, you're depleting, to use your word, Fern.
Yes.
You're depleting yourself.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing, because it's almost like you are describing what many of us, have gone through. Even I think about in caring for my husband, what you just said, it's like, yes, you want to show up for these people who say you're doing such a great job. You want to show up for yourself who says you're doing such a great job. But all the while, you're really impacting yourself, both internally as well as externally.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Even as you were talking about like the falling, right? I always feel it in my body, even today, right? It's been a few years for me since then, but I still feel that in my body today, that alertness of fall risk and things like that. And it absolutely does explode. Some people enjoy the praise, but I know oftentimes too, some people are just, there's a lot of fear with feeling like I'm going to drop something if I let myself admit this, or
And here's the other thing. It's if they find out that I'm not quite what they are hyping me up to be, are they then going to reject me?
Wow.
So that's part of that mind, that emotional part that I'm talking about.
right.
Oh, that's good.
Absolutely.
That's good right there.
And that fear of unraveling, whether that's publicly or even just emotionally. Like if I acknowledge that this little part of me is not okay, there's actually more in there that might not be okay, right? So there's that fear of, I can't tell you that because the whole rug may unravel, right? Yeah. So I want to talk to you a little bit today about if a caregiver is listening today, and they feel emotionally flooded, what are 2 or 3 practical tools that they could use immediately to begin to start to stabilize?
And I like the word practical, right?
Yeah.
You can actually do something. When I say to you, breathe, I actually mean breathe. I've had individuals say to me, not just caregivers, but other clients say to me, but Ms. Pamela, I am breathing. No, I know that you are doing that thing that sustains life, but I need you to take in that extra breath. And for anyone out there who is a Christ follower, that extra breath is actually, you are breathing in spirit, and it revives. And so I would say, put your hand on your chest. You can do it standing up, but it's probably more invigorating if you sit down because you ground it. Jessica knows the term grounding,
flat on the ground,
right?
yeah.
You're literally, it's literally important for you to know that there's something beneath you. You are not falling.
Wow.
There is something beneath you. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick up one foot and then the other to ensure yourself that you're grounded. I want you to make sure you have your hand on your chest. I also sometimes like to put the other one on the belly, right? And I'd like for one or both of you to say to me, what does that feel like for you? What was the difference when the hand was not on your chest and belly, and then when you put it on? What did you feel?
I felt more secure. I felt more secure. I felt more, brought together. I felt more held.
How about you, Jess?
Yeah, I was gonna say, just the holding. I could feel the security. There was a security in it, even in my own touch.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's important because it is even in your own touch. So I want, whenever you're feeling as though you're unraveling, even if the person that you're caring for, you need to get them settled for a moment. Okay? And then go find yourself. I actually call it a sacred space that I need for you to always carve out for yourself. Yeah. Even if it's in your bathroom. If you have a really pretty bathroom, right? But go in and sit down, put that hand on that chest, the one on your belly, and then breathe. In through your nose, at a 4 count, hold it. Then out through your mouth, at a 4 count, hold it. And I ask you to do that about 4 times. And what you will notice by about the 3rd rotation, if you're breathing deeply enough, if you're breathing in spirit and exhaling debris, exhaling toxin, you will begin to feel a little lightheaded. Okay? And that says to you, you're grounded. So that's just one practical things, but there's some other physical things you can do. But that one I like to teach because it is the more accessible.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. That was so powerful. I mean, just sitting even right here and having had a full morning, literally seeing how that exercise just made the difference. It really just made the difference. I hope that everyone out there took the time out to really do it. Miss Pamela, one of the things that we find is that with caregivers, it's hard to ask for help. It's hard to ask for help. So how can someone shift from really seeing that as being weakness to really seeing it as being a partnership that's actually valuable and needed?
If you think in terms of, I am caring for someone, they ask me for help. I'm expending energy.
Yes.
Then I too need some way to revive myself. Yeah. The other thing, and Jessica knows, be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You deserve to take care of you. And part of taking care of you is asking for help. But here's a caveat. You got to make sure you ask the right person.
Oh, talk about that.
Because part of what, as we talked about earlier, you don't want the sense of being rejected. So you don't want to go to someone who's like, well, girl, I thought you had it together. Right?
Yeah.
So ensuring that it is someone who, one, understands what it's like to be a caregiver. Even if they have not personally, taking care of someone who maybe is chronically ill, but, have in some other way provided that support to individuals. So someone who you have observed to already be compassionate. If they're not compassionate in their tone of voice in other situations, don't expect that they're going to be compassionate to you. So yeah, be really careful about who it is that you approach.
I love that. I love that. My sister is very clear to tell us, if it's squeamy and squishy, I'm not going to be able to help with that, but I can help you with. And I love that about her, because she knows these are the things that I can do, and these are the things that I'm not going to be able to do. Now, you want me to run to the store and pick up some things for you? Got that covered. But if it's going to require me to put on some gloves and be squeamy and squishy, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I love that you point that out, asking the right person, the
and
right thing.
not only that, asking the right way. And so saying, this is what I need help with, right? When we talk about doing really clear communication, you make an observation. I need help getting this done on Monday, right? You express a thought, because I'm going to be really tied up. Right. And if I don't get help, I'm going to feel frustrated. So will you run to the store for me? Being very specific about what it is that you need.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
I have to tell you, I just had a moment when you started answering this question, when you said, don't forget they asked you for help. Can I tell you, in 9 years of caregiving, I never had that thought. I never considered the idea of, it just felt like the obligation of, this is what I'm supposed to do. But there's something really healing in that, even just to hear like what that perspective is of, don't forget you've been asked for help. And it kind of changes that perspective of how I got here, and that I empowered myself to say yes, as opposed to I'm just forced to do this. I think that's really powerful too, in kind of giving that weight and stabilizing, because when we feel controlled, we feel out of control. And so it's a way of kind of going, I have some self-control inside of that. I really heard that in that question. So that was really powerful to me. And in terms of safe people, I think about, you want people who you can trust with vulnerable things, because caregiving is a vulnerable space, and it's an intimate space. We talk about that with our care receivers, that we're involved in very intimate parts of their lives in ways that we may not have been before. Right. And so when we are sharing that with other people, we want people who are going to honor that for us and our care receiver, people who can carry the vulnerability and the exposure that may be required of someone who helps you carry that weight. And so I think that's something really important to think about when who we're sharing that with, because we're inviting somebody into a very intimate part of our lives. And even just being aware of, we said this from the beginning, most people are well-intended. Some people are not always ready to carry the weight. They're not able to carry grief because they may be carrying grief in other parts of their life, or not able to face it yet for themselves. So just keeping that in mind, and not to personalize that kind of feedback. I know, being someone in church, the over spiritualizing, just pray some more, honey, or, do that. Yep. Thank you. That doesn't help with my exhaustion at the end of the night, but I really appreciate it, right? And we can value those people, but we also have to know how to have those mental perspectives that it's a perspective thing.
The guarding of your heart, right? We are exhorted to guard our hearts. And so, what you're describing is the need to guard your heart.
You said something, and I think it's important to talk about for a moment, and that is even understanding the persons and where they're at. I know in caregiving, I had to recognize that each child was different. So how my daughter may process, her father being in this space is different from how my son may process, and vice versa. So understanding which child can carry this and which child can carry that, and being okay with that, being okay with that, and not feeling like because this person can handle more of the pressure of it, and maybe this person can handle more of the practicality of it, it's okay. Talk about that.
Well, not just it's okay, but saying out loud to yourself, it's okay. Recognizing that individuals have not just different personalities, but different temperaments. Okay, so temperaments that think that God, that innate way that we respond to the world. Personality, the mask that we put on to show up in the world.
Yes.
And when you are thinking in terms of who can handle what or why they handle it differently, I want you to think in terms not of their personality, all right? Because that can change environmentally.
That's good.
But that temperament, it's innate, it's there. God put it there, it's going to be the same. So you got to know, do I have someone who, is a melancholy, who's, maybe it's going to be kind of Eeyore all the time, or, do I have someone who's a sanguine who's going to be, hyped. I can do this. So you've got to try to figure out who that innate person is, or what that innate temperament is, and make your decisions about what you ask them around who they are innately, as opposed to the mask they put on to show up in the world.
I love it. I love it.
Well, now I love that you shared that, because I know what you're talking about. That's a tool, and we use it in counseling all the time, the DISC personality profile that kind of helps us know about temperaments. And that is something you can usually find online if you're interested, because it really can help relational exchange, communication exchange, if we have a little bit better understanding. And you're not going to do this with everyone you meet, obviously, but even if it's you and your care receiver, or the people who are kind of intimately involved, sometimes digging a little deeper can help us understand and know each other a little bit better.
And even if you don't take one of those tests, you can usually, as you observe people, it's like when they are sitting quietly, they're one way, but then when they begin to interact with certain people, that's, that mask thing. Jessica may talk to Pamela differently than she talks to Fern, right? That's that personality. That's that mask. But when we all sit down together at lunch, at dinner, and are just sort of enjoying each other's company, we tend to interact more from that temperament place.
That's good. That's a good way to assess that. So, Pamela, what would you say directly to help a caregiver tell the difference between normal stress and something that requires like personal intervention, such as anxiety, depression, trauma responses?
I'd say go sit down with a therapist. No. No. I mean, but you're right. You've got to even know that you need to go see a therapist. So that is a legitimate question. So how do you tell the difference? When I used to be able to say, gee, I am going to go help Willie comb his hair, becomes, I gotta go help Willie comb his hair.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yep.
That's good. Key indicator.
Language communicates a lot. So does the tone.
Key indicator.
The words that you use, I have to, as opposed to I'm going to.
Or I get to.
Or I get to. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. We could stay here. Listen, I feel like I need to get on the couch, okay? And get in here with Pamela. But we could stay here all day. First of all, we just want to thank you. Thank you so much for coming and for sharing with us, because it's meant a lot. And if you're out there today and this resonated with you in any way, we want to remind you that, first of all, you are doing an extraordinary job, okay, just by caring for that person, but also that you're not alone. We want to encourage you to go to our website. Also, inside of our links, we'll have information as to how you can connect with Pamela, get some of her resources as well. And we just want you to know that you really are not alone, and you are. You're graced to care. You're graced to care. So we're glad you're here. You've been listening to Grace to Care. I'm Fern Sapp.
And I'm Jessica Banner.
And we're here to remind you that you're never meant to walk this road alone, because we are graced to care together. See you next time.
In caregiving, you're never meant to walk alone. We're graced to care together.